Championship Sunday in the National Football League, just over 40 minutes out from kickoff in Denver. It'll be the Broncos and Patriots and Jarrett Stidham attempting to do the unthinkable today with a trip to Super Bowl 60 and San Francisco on the line. Glad you guys can be with me today. Take you right up until kickoff, and then we'll go watch these games because obviously from a Ravens perspective, whether you're in the coverage space, the fan space, or anywhere in between, there's a lot of reasons to watch these next couple games because you have several candidates that are out there that the Ravens have either spoken to or potentially have a level of interest in past the initial speaking to in an initial interview for their potential coordinator gigs that are out there for the taking. Now, I think the names that stick out are Davis Webb and Nate Scheelhaase at this point, knowing that Jesse Minter, in all likelihood, will be the full-time play caller at head coach on the defensive side of the ball. So needless to say, there's a lot to tune in for today. That's actually not where I'm going to begin, though, the broadcast. And by the way, if you want to call in and share a thought with me, you can. Championship Sunday across the National Football League. Click on the link that I have included right now in my live chat. It's a pinned comment. Thanks to FanDuel for sponsoring this episode and my longest standing sponsor, the folks at Preston Automotive Group. Where I'm actually going to begin is along the ends of speculation. Going to be clear on that. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of talk. There's rumors that are starting to build up within the social media sphere about Mike McDaniel. Reportedly, he has not signed his contract yet in Los Angeles, meaning he has not gone pen to paper yet with the Chargers to be Greg Roman's successor under Jim Harbaugh at offensive coordinator. It was just a couple weeks ago that Miami showed him the door after several seasons as the head coach of the Dolphins. So I wanted to pop on here because I know it matters to a lot of you, being that he is maybe the most coveted offensive coordinator candidate out there, given his expertise on that side of the ball, given his resume, and given his offensive prowess. So is there a legit chance, and is there a realistic scenario that the Ravens are out, if you will, of the Mike McDaniel sweepstakes? Let's have that conversation and get fully caught up to speed. Without further ado, diving right in. Like the video if you could. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. I'll get to as many super chats as I possibly can. On Tuesday night, during the collective, when we were live, Mike McDaniel, the reports came down that he would be the next offensive coordinator with the Chargers. Schefter tweeted then that McDaniel has informed other teams that they're out. The Chargers clearly want him, and the two sides are having dinner tonight. But the expectation across the league is that McDaniel will be staying in Los Angeles. Well, things are fluid, obviously, when it comes to this coaching carousel and how many vacancies there are across the league. As of yesterday morning, according to Diana Rossini, McDaniel pulled out of his scheduled meeting down in Florida, my way, with the Bills. The two sides never met. Mike, meanwhile, remains in contention for the Raiders head coaching job, but if he takes an offensive coordinator position, it's still expected to be with the Chargers. So, okay, is that the most realistic scenario here? That he's out there, as we covered this week on The Vault, just trying to get the best possible situation for him and remain a head coach? Or is there something more happening here? Like a team, like Jesse Minter, like the Baltimore Ravens, who are now kickstarting their search process to hire and fill out an entire staff. Are they making a play at Mike McDaniel? In Diana's reporting, there's a belief out there that he's yet to sign a contract. I don't know how realistic this is, but if you're the Ravens, why wouldn't you be reaching out to, at the very least, have a conversation after your initial one, assuming that you got something out of that initial conversation? Because again, Mike was one of the 17, or I guess Eric referred to it as 20 total candidates. Mike was one of those. At the time, they were looking for their next head coach. Well, we know that's been settled. They landed on Jesse Minter. He'll probably be the primarily defensive caller as the head coach, meaning he's looking for his next OC. And you think that Lamar is going to be heavily involved in that process? I mean, I'd be putting the full court press on for Mike McDaniel. Why? Some of you are like, what's so attractive about Mike McDaniel? And maybe you get lost in the sauce of underperformance and Tua's struggles in Miami. Look, a lot went into fully describing what went wrong for him in Miami. Listen to former Raven Darren Waller, who just spent this past season with Mike. Maybe you've already heard this. We played it within the last week or so. You talk about a ringing endorsement, a guy who understands the offensive side of the ball, and Darren had a lot to say about what makes Mike such an attractive candidate, not only for a head coaching vacancy out there, but for the Ravens' perspective and the other coordinator, the other jobs out there like Los Angeles's. What makes him as a candidate so freaking attractive on that side of the ball?
Bro, he's a human computer, bro. Like, it's crazy. There's a week we played the Chargers, bro. This dude started making up formations, bro, and he broke down, like he was telling us this, he broke down how the Chargers, how their quarters defense is set up. They and when they have like if you put 4-2 aside, they put everybody over into the corner of the formation. He's like, wherever we run this play from, it was like basically like a G scheme to the right. He's like, wherever we run this play is going to hit for a touchdown. And it was early in the game, and Vaughn scored from like 60 something on the play because we put 4 into the boundary, and he figured out that defenses shit themselves. If you put somebody like in a slot formation, but they're 5 yards in the backfield, they don't know how to treat him as a running back or as a slot receiver.
So if he's pretty much even with the quarterback and you just move him out 8 yards to the left of where the quarterback is and you just flex him out like that, they have no idea?
They had no idea what to do. There's a whole bunch of teams we started playing from there to where the run game really took off because these different formations, they started throwing Dan Brunskill like extra O-lineman as a tight end, and he had to have him going across the formation and shit. But yeah, just the way that he really got like in his like designer bag for the run scheme just alone. And then the passing game as well. It's just like thrown into those windows. Everything is just like that anticipation, just like throwing it, really just having the faith to put it there. If you paused it, as the ball's leaving the quarterback's hand, you'd be like, why is he throwing it there? But then Waddle's flying in there, catching it. I'm coming in, catching it like right on time. Like,
I would be so interested to see what he's calling his stuff and like formation based wise. Like, obviously, whenever I was with McDaniel, he was our receivers coach in Cleveland. But, you know, we would get into like early in the week or something. It'd be like a Monday after our like, you know, workout that you have after a game on Sunday. The next day you go in, you do your workout, and it'd be like, yo, what are we thinking for this week? What are our runs going to be? And I remember Shanahan being like, you know, me and McDaniel haven't sat down on it. So like the way he evolved as far as learning everything, you know, he was our receivers coach, but he's doing our entire run game package for the whole week. So just like how much he knows about ball, the whole thing was just like crazy to see. Like I don't see how there's any way he doesn't get another opportunity somewhere else. I would be shocked because, in my opinion of how he is, I think the guy is deserving of being a head coach.
Yeah, no, he's brilliant, man. I mean, like you see throughout the year, it's like everybody needs somebody to blame for everything, but it's like you look back over the season, it's like, man, this dude is like the shit that he's preaching, what he's teaching, how detailed he is, how he's explaining stuff to us. It's like, bro, I feel prepared going into every game. I know like certain situations, what to expect coverage wise. Like he breaks that shit down for real. And yeah, I mean, I feel like if there's anything that people think that he needs to grow in, I feel like he's smart enough guy to realize like, okay, maybe these are certain things that I could have done better. These are certain situations where I could have held people to a higher standard. Whatever he takes away from it, I know for a fact that he's going to apply that information. He's too fucking smart. Not
100%.
Again, just to guys give you a little flavor for the respect that Mike McDaniel has as an offensive mind in the player community. Darren Waller just spent this past season in Miami under him as one of his tight ends. Now he was banged up for a good portion of the year, the former Raven. But look, a lot of these openings have been taken, and the most coveted, for the most part, outside of Buffalo, which Mike just withdrew from, have been filled. Harbaugh went to New York. Stefanski ended up in Atlanta. Halfley signed with Miami. Saleh goes to Tennessee. Ravens get their guy in Minter. Last night we went live about Mike McCarthy going to Pittsburgh, where he's originally from. And that leaves Buffalo, Arizona, Cleveland, and Las Vegas open for the taking. And hey, maybe, just maybe, he is interested, Mike McDaniel, in the Raiders vacancy. Maybe he is interested in developing Fernando Mendoza and working with Tom Brady as a minority owner and being in a place like Vegas. Or he's potentially slow playing things to try and get the best possible offensive coordinator job out there. And remember, the Ravens had not yet made their hire on Tuesday evening of this past week when apparently the verbal agreement, or whatever we want to call it, it's not a contractual agreement, but clearly there was an agreement, some sort of agreement had in Los Angeles between Mike and Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers staff. But if there's nothing signed, I don't want to open the floodgates for floating out the idea of him going back on his word. But the longer this thing goes, and as kind of very little speculation ramps up in terms of like the McDaniel Ravens speculation, it's hard to kind of measure whether or not that's just social media chatter or if there's actually a correlation between the delay and the potential interest on both sides mutually. I don't have a great feel for that yet. Because if he's agreed to, again, a verbal partnership as the next OC in Los Angeles, you'd like to think that this is just, hey, I'm going to slow play it and try and get one of these jobs. And if it's not the right fit for me, already having had a bad job, a tough job, let's call it, to use Steve Bisciotti's words from his press conference a couple weeks ago, right? Miami's a tough job. At least it has been in recent seasons. Just ask the slew of different coaches that have come through there over the last decade plus. And there's reports out there that because of that experience, Mike was going to be picky this time through and be okay with a cushy offensive coordinator job that would allow him to have a ton of success with a Justin Herbert, with a Lamar Jackson, with a Baker Mayfield that would set himself up to be the belle of the ball, if you will, within the next 2 years in one of the upcoming hiring cycles to get his next opportunity as an NFL head coach. Because it doesn't seem as if his time is over. This is not the last hoorah for Mike McDaniel as an NFL head coach. Certainly. When I space speculation, certainly this is one of the ones that I was referring to, and he's become a little bit of a troll, former NFL player here, former LSU nose guard, Braden Fajoko. he's adding to the interest, I think, within some fan circles online. Because earlier this afternoon, he tweeted, Mike McDaniel turned down Buffalo and Browns interviews. Isn't the primary candidate for Las Vegas, but didn't want to sign the contract in LA? What exactly are we waiting on? So you kind of see where there's this little room, this little leeway for speculation and curiosity in terms of wondering, yeah, what is the wait for? Why didn't you go pen to paper? And you are turning down other head coach gigs. So what's the deal? Is there other interest out there? And is one of those interesting candidates or interesting opportunities in Baltimore? And remember, it was just a week or two ago that we learned some like inside baseball, if you will, the strategizing behind the way in which the Ravens hiring team was going about the interview process. I don't think all 20 candidates were spoken to on the level of intimacy and legitimacy that they would be the next head coach of the Ravens. I think there's a lot of reasons why you want to speak to that many candidates, but one could very well be, and there's some credible reporting out to suggest that some of those candidates were brought in because, hey, we feel like you'd make a really good offensive coordinator here. Perhaps Cliff Kingsbury, Davis Webb, Nate Scheelhaus, and Mike McDaniel fit that category. Right? And we're a little over 30 minutes out from kickoff, by the way, from getting a chance to watch, not actually, but see what Jarrett Stidham does, who, of course, works closely with Davis Webb, who's the quarterback's coach and passing game coordinator under Sean Payton for the Denver Broncos. And one of the 20 candidates, the aforementioned 20 candidates that the Ravens spoke to on an initial basis. On the defensive side of the ball, Vance Joseph was one. I can't imagine he's still in the cards because, again, we're going to learn for sure on Thursday. But I feel like this is a pretty good assumption that Jesse Minter will be the full-time play caller on the defensive side of the ball for the Ravens and also the head coach. I feel like that's a pretty safe assumption, but I'll continue to refer to it as an assumption until he confirms that himself when he's inevitably asked point blank, I would think, during Thursday's press conference, the introductory press conference in Baltimore. So you see where I'm going with all this? And then, of course, game 2 tonight in Seattle between the Seahawks and Rams. You're going to have a chance to see, and I don't know what the likelihood is of Clint Kubiak coming to Baltimore as an OC. I'd have to think he's probably going to get a head coaching job in this cycle. And I think there's some smoke out there between he and the Raiders. But on the Rams side of the ball, again, Nate Scheelhaase, pass game coordinator under McVay, lit it up as an Illinois quarterback in Big Ten football. Would the Ravens be interested in bringing him on? Would Jesse Minter, I keep saying the Ravens, would Jesse Minter have interest in bringing him on? And most importantly, would Lamar Jackson be interested in bringing him on as the offensive coordinator? Diana Rossini chimed in on this last week as it relates to a candidate that we haven't even mentioned yet. You guys remember this, just in case you don't.
Going to coach Lamar Jackson. Steve Bisciotti was very transparent. They're all in, right? They're all in because they fired John Harbaugh, and they want to make this work. They want to get to the Super Bowl, and this is another organization that's looking at it as a window, right? We got to get the most out of them. So while I understand that you're bringing in the leader of men, and that's important that you have the CEO, the plan for OC has to be there, right? So Cliff Kingsbury is a name that's out there. I can tell you, I know for a fact that Lamar Jackson and those receivers would like Cliff Kingsbury to run their offense. They have shown support. They've been vocal about it. They've been part of some of these interviews too. Lamar Jackson's part of these. He's zooming in. He's in touch with the decision makers of what he likes, who he's liked. And so, we'll see how this shakes out. But I think Anthony Weaver's one of those, again, that I mentioned a few minutes ago, that is going to be in the running for this job. And from what I understand, Cliff Kingsbury would be his OC. Wow. And I think that would be a pretty tremendous fit when you think about what Cliff Kingsbury did with Kyler Murray. Now insert Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in football.
If Lamar's endorsing that legitimately, and that was from earlier in the week, you guys have probably heard that by now, and his receivers are endorsing it, Cliff Kingsbury's got the resume to be a big-time elite offensive coordinator. And all you got to do, if you're not a believer in that, is just look back literally a year ago. They were competing for an NFC championship with a rookie quarterback who lit up the league and had his most historic season as a rookie under Cliff's tutelage in Washington, Jaden Daniels. Don't sleep on Cliff. As for Davis Webb, the Raiders, according to Schefter, are expected to meet this week with him regarding their open vacancy. The Bills also want to meet with Webb. By the way, they had Phillip Rivers in at the end of this week. Due to NFL rules, they have to wait until Denver's season is over. So that's what the Ravens have been living that life up until this past weekend. And who knows, depending on who their offensive coordinator targets are or legitimate shortlist is, they may have to wait as well. So they'll have to continue to follow and obviously respect the NFL guidelines in place there. As for Nate Scheelhaase, who again is under Sean McVay, and we'll have a chance to see indirectly in terms of how Matthew Stafford plays tonight. He's the pass game coordinator for the Rams. And multiple league sources are telling Jeremy Fowler that they consider Clint Kubiak a prime candidate after a strong first interview in Vegas as the Raiders coaching search materializes. Davis Webb is often mentioned in league circles as a viable option, and several other assistants like the ones the Ravens spoke to, aside from Mike LaFleur, Chris Shula, Nate Shieldhouse, Vance Joseph, just as we kind of keep up with what other teams that need to make hires are doing right now on championship weekend. So let me kind of put this into, I guess, the most simple of terms. Do I think that there's a chance that the Ravens have interest in Mike McDaniel? Hell yeah. Do I think it's do I think this is a legitimate shot? Do I think they have a legitimate shot of landing Mike McDaniel? I have my doubts about that. I do. I think there's a reason why he gave a verbal to the Chargers. I think he probably wants to remain in warm weather if he can, climate-wise. And while I think he and Lamar would jive well together, given sort of their demeanors and their personalities, I don't know if, and it seems funny to say this, but when you have your pick of a number of different climates and markets, I don't know if Mike McDaniel screams Baltimore to me. Is that fair to say? It's not to say that I don't think there's interest. Clearly, he had interest enough to have an initial conversation with the Ravens and be one of the candidates. There had to be at the very least, some initial mutual interest between both parties in order to sign up for that. Teach is like, does he want to win? If he wants to win, go to Baltimore, right? But it is fairly new. It's going to be it's going to be a brand new operation. Brand new operation in Baltimore. But it'll be very, very fascinating to see, I should say, in the coming days ahead, where the Ravens take this search. Will they make an attempt to finalize this search at offensive coordinator, at defensive coordinator, in what will likely be a role that's a non-primary, non-full-time defensive coordinator? Will they have those filled by the time Thursday's introductory press conference roll around? Live chat's trying to get my attention. You're gonna have to do a little bit better than that. Whatever your name is, AYE. You have to do a little bit better than that, big fella. Why don't you call in too? See you barking over there in the live chat. Call in, big fella. There's a guest link that's pinned to my live chat. Looking forward to hearing from you. See if you come back on with that same energy. How about it? We'll call you II. How about that? II. Thanks to FanDuel for the continued support of the program. Coming up on kickoff, the first of two games, Championship Sunday across the league, and FanDuel sponsoring the program all season long. And I appreciate them for that. I don't get these sponsorships without you guys showing up, which I appreciate. And take a look. Under 20 minutes out, you got some same game parlay bets out there on the table. And this is under the instant offense category. Side with 6 standouts as they seek these 5 or more yard marks in the first quarter. Ramondre Stevenson, 5 or more yards, first quarter. Seems pretty simple. Travion Henderson, 5 or more yards. Drake May, you see how it goes here. Take a look. Over 21,000 have already placed wagers. And as we look at the matchups themselves, the Patriots, 3.5-point favorites on the road. That is a Bo Nix statistic or a Bo Nix number, analytic, chance, whatever you want to call it. Jarrett Stidham is making his 5th career start, and it just so happens to be in the AFC Championship game. And the guy hasn't logged a regular season snap in something like well over 700 days. 43.5 is the set over-under. And as far as the night game's concerned in Seattle, Seahawks 2.5-point home favorites. Mike McDonald trying to compete for an NFC championship. Going to be an electric environment. Sean McVay versus Mike McDonald. Matthew Stafford versus Sam Darnold. Oh, I mean, come on. If this one lives up to the billing on paper, it's going to be a blast. And by the way, Mike McDonald had some kind words for his friend and new Ravens head coach, Jesse Minter, because they overlapped during their time in Baltimore years ago.
Like Twilight Zone. I'm in Seattle, Harps is in New York, and Jesse's in Baltimore. It's like, I mean, that's the NFL for you. But really happy for Jess. Very deserving. Great coach. Phenomenal coach. Great person. Obviously, he's a friend of mine. So really happy for him. He's going to do great.
How about it? Classy from Mike Mack. And maybe, just maybe, the Ravens got the next best thing. I know that's a tough pill to swallow. I know it's not even a game that some of you want to play. But the reality is they let him walk out of the building after the AFC Championship run. He was the most coveted candidate. Seattle waited and waited and waited and was patient throughout the process before landing on Mike Mack. And in 2 years, my God, has he taken that organization to new heights. They've been there before. He's retaken them to heights and reestablished the Seahawks brand. And now they are one game away from playing in Super Bowl 60 coming up in 2 weeks' time in San Francisco. Guys, if you could like the video on the way in or out, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or a gift-giving membership. And if you're wondering what today's show is all about, it's essentially just the fact that Mike McDaniel and his deal in Los Angeles as the Chargers offensive coordinator remains unsigned. He has yet to go pen to paper. So speculation's ramping up within some social media circles. I don't know how much stock I'm really putting in it, to be quite honest with you. And look who's calling me. Oh, shoot, I can't show you that name. Hopefully you guys didn't see that. I just want to be private, or at least respectful to her privacy. My date. We have a date. Can I mute you guys for a second? All right. Watch this. This is going to be good. You guys are cracking me up in the live chat. Seriously, this is ridiculous. Just know there's something building here. We got something budding. There's a budding something. I don't know what it is, but it's budding. That's what's going on here. You got that? You guys cracking me up. Chat. Oh, shit. I wasn't going to let that call go. All right. Oh, listen to this, guys. I thinks we're buddy now. Huh? You dragging me, and now I get a little budding buddy over here. And now you and me are buddy. Is that how it goes? Who says who? I captain. I'm the captain, big fella. Oh, we're getting together tonight. We're gonna watch that second game by the time I get over there. 5:00. She's got a whole plan. For context here. For those of you that weren't following along this week, we had a pre-scheduled second dinner date. The content's going to take a back seat for a second. So if you're here for that, you can mute me. Thursday night, we had a pre-scheduled second dinner date, which I was very excited for, I might add. And days prior to it, we had it scheduled out. She's busy, I'm busy. She's in Tampa, I'm in St. Pete, for those of you that are trying to put the context together here. And we met on Hinge, and we had a great first date the previous Thursday. So there was a week in between dates, which I think is pretty normal for busy people, I guess. and people that live like 30, 40 minutes away from one another and just met. So, of course, the Minter news comes down at like fucking 5 o'clock, whenever it was. And to her credit, because I had been kind of setting up the potential of that happening all week long with a couple like feeler texts, she texted me immediately. She must have got a push notification, was like, do you need to reschedule? And I was like, oh, yes, I do, you know? And so, as you guys know, I went for like 2 hours from 5 to 7. And then as that's happening, the collective guys, Jeff and Cole, are like, yo, we're going live tonight, special bonus coverage. I'm like, I thought there was a chance that we could still keep the date on. And sure enough, I wasn't going to leave Jeff and Cole. Come on now. Like, special bonus coverage? Hell yeah, we're doing that shit. And so I called her in between those two shows and just like, you know, genuinely apologized, appreciate, you know, thanked her for understanding, blah, blah, blah. And so anyway, long story short, we're running it back. 2.0 tonight. Tampa. I think she's hungover as shit, by the way. So we'll see what happens tonight. Denaro writes, I pulled a Ted Cruz and got the hell out of Houston before it froze. At the resort, sipping Jack with my lady, and she is tiptoeing in the bikini, waiting on the games, listening to my man Bobby. Maybe that'll be me, Donato. If this goes well, maybe it'll be me. Where you at, Mrs. T? Just looking for her. Anybody else looking for their Mrs. or Mr.? Or is it just me? Maybe I'll continue to that search, having bailed on her Thursday night. Some of you ripped me for it. Some of you idolized me for it. Some of you didn't give a fuck. It's going to be fun. Oh, by the way, I might add, after dinner, she floated out the idea of getting together with her friends who were going out for the games. It's a second date, motherfuckers. It's a second date. We're about to meet the friends. Did you hear that, Tilly T? That's right, Till. Mrs. T. That's where we're going to track her down. Dinero, appreciate you, brother. Can you tell I'm excited about this? Yes, I am. Guest lines are open. 90 seconds on the clock. You know what that means when I start telling everybody about it and actually showing excitement. You know what happens after that. Shit goes south for whatever reason. Anyway, 10 minutes out from this kickoff, the first of two, Championship Sunday. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hopefully you guys are all safe, warm, in good standing. I know the East Coast, not where I am, but the East Coast is getting totally plummeted. I talked to my brother just within the hour or so. He lives in Fells Point, for those of you that are local to Baltimore, Maryland. Fells Point's got like a foot. Is that what it is? Sure looks like it in the pictures. Upstate New York's blanketed. New York City's getting it right now. My alma mater, Loyola, already shut things down for Monday and Tuesday this week. So hopefully you guys are doing well, enjoying yourselves, getting ready to maybe hang out around the fire and watch these two games and watch a couple potential future candidates that'll be calling plays for Lamar Jackson for the years to come. There's Jarrett Stidham, boy. What a story this would be. What a story this would be. 90 seconds on the clock. I appreciate you guys as always. Like the video if you could on the way in. Subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Can't believe I've actually sustained an audience after I muted you guys. I mean, how did I do you like that? I should have put her on speaker. That's when you know I like her. I wasn't about to put her on speaker and blast her like that. That's just not. I've done that before, by the way. I've done some things that lacks emotional intelligence. Probably why I'm working for myself at this point in my life. But what are you going to do? 90 seconds on the clock. Let's go down to somebody who knows a thing or two about love. Yes, he does. A lot of love. Whether it be in Houston, whether it be in Mexico, whether it be in wherever the hell is port. Yeah, port in every storm is, I think, the concept that he lives by. And Manny, welcome to the program. 90 on the clock.
Hey, congratulations on the second date, because you canceled right away and she just, she took it, and work is work. And now, I mean, if all goes well, she's a keeper, man. Let's put it that way. She's a keeper, because it's hard to find a girl, actually a person that is committed. Like, hey, I canceled right away. I got work. And then, hey, I organized this one. But football.
But I digress.
Yes. You know what? Even if McDaniel goes to the Chargers, I don't think it's going to be that much of a difference, because now you're going to have passing protection problems instead of running protection problems, or vice versa. I don't care. It's like they need to retool still the offensive line over there.
They got to get healthy. They got to get healthy.
Yeah, and you know what? Next year the division is ours. Like Mike McCarthy, really, and an interim head coach, I think, in with the Browns, because have you heard about the Browns, how they search for head coaches? Everything like test. Dude, we have to. Next year, we have to win the division. We have to. It's no excuse on coaching this time. Like, Mentor has to literally sweep the North.
Thank you, brother. We covered that extensively last night, but just in case folks weren't around, I'll cover it right now for you since you brought it up. Appreciate you, Manny. Enjoy the games tonight, my friend. Cleveland has a, let's call it, unique way of interviewing candidates at this point. But Mike McCarthy is the new head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, completely deviating from what we've known them to be as an organization from a hiring principle standpoint, dating all the way back to the 60s. Chuck Noll, hired in his 30s. Bill Cowher, hired in his 30s. Mike Tomlin, hired in his 30s. Guys, Mike McCarthy's 62. This will be his third head coaching opportunity throughout his time. And look, I consider him of the ilk with the Sean Paytons and the John Harbaughs of the world. They're all Super Bowl champions. They've all won a lot of games in this league. And they all have their strengths and weaknesses, as most candidates do and as most coaches do in their own rights. And I do think that Pittsburgh will have success and will take the next step offensively with Mike at the helm, and they will bring Aaron back, I would think, for 44, 45 he'll be by the start of next season. But to me, countering Jesse Minter with Mike McCarthy, while one is a proven commodity and the other obviously hasn't coached an NFL game in his life, to me, that was a puzzling move. The Ravens found the candidate with more upside, more longevity, more staying power, more perhaps relatability. Certainly the fan vote, if you will. You can check that box. And Mike McCarthy, I don't know if he checks any of those boxes in terms of when you evaluate this over the long game from 1,000 feet up. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I wasn't moved by this hire. I was pretty surprised by it, especially when you consider the point that Alex made on X. And that's the fact that Pittsburgh opted to not wait to even talk to any of the assistants that are playing this week, that are coaching this weekend, like a Chris Schuler or a Nate Scheelhaus or a Davis Webb. And that, to me, was the most peculiar part of it about this. Nobody was going after and chasing down McCarthy the way that Pittsburgh was. And it's a cool story. He's originally from Pittsburgh. Now he's going to have a chance to coach his hometown team. Good for him. But this right here, what Alex points at and notes, that to me what was most confusing. Now, as for Cleveland, Tony Grossi, man, he's hysterical. We've had him on the program before. He's like, the Ravens and Steelers, they're already starting to interview and get to the process of interviewing their coordinators. The Browns, what are they doing? They're grading homework essays from the first batch of candidates. What does he mean by that? Tom Pelissero talked about it on the Rich Eisen show this week. This is hysterical if you haven't seen this yet.
At the Browns front office and operation being termed dysfunctional. That said, we're sitting here the Friday before championship weekend. The job is still open from the first Monday of the coaching cycle. Word is they are not Rooney Rule compliant. They cannot hire somebody right now. The Bills might be looking at somebody that they want to hire. The Bills are already Rooney Rule compliant. Their job's been open a fraction of the time, and we're reading about people pulling their names out of consideration for the Browns head coaching job. What is happening there, Tom Pelissero?
First of all, I would say Andrew Berry is the last person who is just going to interview somebody solely to fulfill the Rooney Rule.
Correct.
If he's conducting an interview, he wants it to be with someone who's a real candidate. Mike McDaniel would have fulfilled that. He decided that he just didn't want to follow through. on that job coming off of his initial Zoom here. So that's one factor. You're right. They're the only team that has not conducted a single qualifying interview. That'll change, or is scheduled to change next week when they have a second interview with Nate Scheelhaus from the Rams. I would just say this. The Browns' search process and interview process, which they have run a number of times, is unlike any other in the NFL, and it plays to certain types of candidates. They are a data-driven operation in Cleveland, and so they spend an extraordinary amount of time gathering data on their coaching candidates. You're talking about taking a personality test. You're talking about writing an essay. You're talking about completing homework assignments going into both the first and the second rounds of interviews.
We covered this last night, and it's kickoff now, so I won't let that run as long as it does. But can Cleveland, for once, not make a mockery of itself? You got guys that are pulling out of your candidacy, your openings, and here you are, literally, you're just getting lapped by the division. Can they ever get out of their own way? I don't understand it. Thanks to Preston Automotive Group for the continued support of the program, my longest standing sponsor, the reason why I have wheels on the road down here in St. Petersburg. It's the Bobby Baltimore Bronco, my 2023 Ford Bronco Sport, over 3,000 miles and counting. Tilly is so comfortable in it. It's got everything. Heated seats. Not that I need it right now, but I'm sure you guys can relate to the necessity, the comfort of heated seats, given this Arctic blast that's hitting much of the East Coast. If you scan the QR code in the upper right-hand corner or go down to my show notes, you'll find a link to PrestonMotor.com where it will take you to my landing page, and you'll be reminded that there are a couple offers out there for the taking if you are a subscriber of mine, because at any Preston Automotive dealership or location all throughout the DMV, including Baltimore, 2 different offers are exclusively available to you. You can cash in a $500 credit towards a new or pre-owned vehicle, or when you buy 4 tires, you'll receive 50% off your alignment. They've got over 3,900 available vehicles right now in their inventory section, and that's the best part. Get on there and check it out based on your preferences. Narrow your search by make, model, keyword, location, dealership, you name it. It's the best of the best. I trust them more than I trust any other dealership, and you should as well. Appreciate them and appreciate all of you. One super chat on the way out here before kickoff. Corona guy says Joe Burrow may be the only person Bobby likes more than this girl he talking to. Puppy love. Oh, God. I don't even know what to say to that, Corona. Thanks for the super chat. You guys cracked me up today. This was a fun episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it as I just open up my private life as usual. What else is new? It's Broncos. It's Patriots. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff in Denver. It's a 6:30 kickoff in Seattle between the Rams and Seahawks. Several candidates potentially who could be calling plays for Lamar Jackson in 2026 will be on staffs tonight. Enjoy it. Watch it closely. Have fun. And relax a little bit. Stay safe if you're in the eye of this Arctic blast. And I'll catch up with you tomorrow, if not before. Inside the Vault, 12 noon Eastern. You know the drill. Like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Thanks to my super chat donors. Thanks to FanDuel, Preston Automotive Group, and all of you for stopping by. Taking you right up until almost perfectly on the dot. Jim Nantz and Tony Romo got it from here. The first of 2. Enjoy it, people. Thank you, guys. Love y'all.